I really like to do it by hand. I think it's neater. I've started there, buried my knot in here, and I'm going to stick a pin there so it stays, because that has to stay for a long time. That's where I'm coming around and finishing. If hand sewing bores you, think of it as sitcom work. You can watch a sitcom, never even have to look at it. You know what the characters look like. Or good music, whatever. Basically, it's the same as a applique stitch. You're going down into the quilt, you don't go through. Start your needle exactly where that thread comes out, and then come up and pick up a little of this. Your stitches can be fairly far apart. I make mine about 1/4 of an inch apart, 1/8 of an inch, quarter, whatever, because you have no seam allowance there. It's a fold, so you don't have to have them really close. By the way, when you're hand sewing like this, if you get knots there, put your thumb over this and it'll go through nice and easy. Unless, of course, it gets caught on a pin like this one just did. And when I get to the corner, I have already trimmed just a little bit of that batting away. I'm going to make a little knot here. Just catch it. Come over here, catch that loop, and I've got a nice little knot. Now that stabilizes everything till I get the next setup. I'm going to trim these off. They give way too much bulk in there. I'm going to turn this to the back. Remember I said I like mine tight so that I have to force it back. I just think that makes a nice, neat edging. I'm pinning it, the head of my work, and I'm pinning it at this seam right here, because that's the bulkiest and that's the part that's going to want to shoot out and give you a problem. And I always pin ahead. When you come to the corner, put your thumb up there so that you don't push this down. Put your thumb up there and get a nice, neat corner. Well, look at that. See, that's a typical thing. This little thing, that corner is actually way over there. And I'm just going to take that and push it back. Until that corner comes right down there at... Okay, now I've pinned this in place to keep it stable. I'm going to work ahead. And all that happens when you work ahead like this and pin is this behaves itself. Now I'm going to catch that little corner that I worked so hard to get there. I'm going to make a little knot. I'm big on making knots when you have it right and you want it to stay there. Okay, come down here. Now some people will come along and hand stitch that little belly button there. I don't. It doesn't go anyplace. If you're putting your quilt up for judging, you might want to do that. And the neat thing about this, by the way, you should see me when I'm actually doing this. I'm all hunkered down in a chair, watching night TV, and I've got this practically up at my nose, and just happy as a little clam. And there's my corner. And that is the biggest thing right there. That's the biggest critical part. Okay, Now I'm going to keep going here. And that's it. You know, it's just that easy. Now the neat thing about having bias is this. Remember I told you that bias works with you? Alright, give me just a few minutes here, and I'm going to work ahead about a foot, and I'll show you a neat little trick. Okay, I'm coming to a pin here now. I'm going to sew pretty close up to that pin. And when I get there, I'm going to take it out. And remember, I have a seam here now, and it's going to want to escape. So what I'm going to do is make a knot there. I'm very cautious. Now, here's the advantage to using bias. About every foot or so, I stop and I make sure that this is straight and even and I don't have any lumpy curls. If I do, with bias, you can take this and just pull on this thread and just with your thumb and fingernail move it up there until you're rid of that lump and it's nice and smooth and even. You can't do that with straight grain, but you can with bias, and I will do that all the way around the quilt, about every foot or so. Now when I know that that segment is nice and straight, I take a little knot here. And that, now you see that little knot, it's sticking out there. What you do to get rid of it is you go up in here. Can you see that? And watch this thread. It's going to pull that little knot right up underneath there. And you don't even see it. That's cool. Okay, I've pinned it down here, so I'm good to go. And I'm just going to keep on going. And when I get to the end of my thread, I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did here. In fact, let's pretend that I'm at the end of my thread right now. I'm going to take a little knot. And I do that by coming up, and actually I caught that loop right there. If you didn't, you go back and catch it. Now, go underneath here, like this, and we want to leave a tail under there, so I'm going to come out there, way over here. Pull it out, watch that knot go underneath. I love sneaky things like that. And then push down on it, cut it off, you have a nice ending. And then when you start your next one, start it over here so your knot is hidden under there, and then come out there and just keep on going. And then you'll have a beautiful, finished, gorgeous quilt to enjoy. That's the way I finish a quilt. I hope you've enjoyed the little series. I hope it has helped and made you much more confident about your quilting.